And so I'm 1 minute over, and I apologize, Mr. Alaric. And welcome to Wealth Wednesdays. But this is the Expert Impact, and what we do is we want to make sure that you guys get the best information that you can take and run with right away. My name is Imani Allen. I own Precious Faith Productions, and I provide marketing consultations as well as marketing services. And I'm excited to see you guys win today. So if everybody can go through and take 30 seconds, please, 30 seconds or less, and introduce themselves and what they do, and that'd be great. And then Mr. Alaric is going to take over, and I rest my mic. Shamika, Tanika, and then JB John. Please let us know who you are and what you do.
You want me to do it? You want me to speak?
Yes, please. Please share who you are and what you do for 30 seconds. The reason why is because what Alaric and I do, we split our recordings because he has subscriptions for his side and I have subscriptions for my side. But when it comes to government contracting, I know zero about it, but he knows all about it. And we want to make sure that when you guys subscribe or when people subscribe to him, they can hear what businesses you guys have. And so that's going to get you more eyes on your content over time.
Okay, well, I had plans for an essential oil brand, and I was going to name it Flowers Forever. And the Bible verse behind it was God gave us everything we need to sustain life on earth. So the essential oils, that's where they come from. Trees, flowers, barks, things of that nature.
Heck yes. So please check out Shamika. Tanika, please let us know who you are and what you do in 30 seconds, sis.
Okay, my name is Tanika Marie, and I am a music artist and influencer. Basically, I like to raise awareness about topics that people close their eyes to and don't believe go on in the world while motivating others. Yeah.
Heck yes. JV Johns, please introduce yourself, sir.
Yes, JB Johns. Me and my fiance owns a fashion business where we do fashion design, fashion accessories, and fashion consulting. And Shamika, if you don't mind, I'm gonna DM you because I want more information on the essential oil.
Heck yes. See, that's what it's about, you guys. Know that each and every single day, Monday through Friday, you'll have at least two opportunities to introduce yourself and drop your pitch. And people come in and out, and sometimes we have rooms that reach 20. But know that because the content is recorded, you guys will be able to be heard multiple times across multiple platforms. And so definitely make it count. I love it. Here celebrating and supporting you all through your journey. Mr. Alaric, please take over, sir.
Thank you, Imani. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. Time is the most valuable asset we have in this life. And I appreciate you spending your time with us. And in return, we're going to continue to give you business tips and marketing tips to help further your endeavors as an entrepreneur. My name is Alaric Scott. I work for IE Experts Consulting, where we give you the tools to win on a higher level, as well as provide services to help you register your business with the government for government contracting, fix your personal credit to leverage into your business credit so you can invest in your business and be your own financing. From S Corp to nonprofit, we will get you set up. Send me a DM or click the link in my bio to set up a Calendly meeting for a free 30-minute consultation to get started. So before I get started, I like to do a wellness check. How's everybody doing today? I know some people are at work and can't answer, but for the people that aren't, how you doing? Right?
I'm a little irritated. I can't tell if my son fake, is taking advantage of the coronavirus to get to stay home from school because you don't feel good.
Oh man. Well, if he's not faking, I definitely hope that he gets better because that coronavirus, I had it before. It's no joke. You know what I'm saying? The cold chills, the fever, headaches, body aches. That thing, that ain't no game. So hopefully he's not.
Thank you for saying that. Those were all of his.
Yeah, it's absolutely, yeah. I really pray that we get better together.
Sorry, my phone rang.
No problem, no problem. So how you got? How's everybody else doing?
Good spirits, pushing along.
That's excellent to hear. Excellent to hear. JB Johns, what's going on?
Man, I'm better. Had a blistering migraine yesterday, but drank some turmeric and ginger tea, and I'm better.
Oh, so that's what will help with migraines? Turmeric and ginger tea?
Yep.
Man, that's great to know. Great to know. I'm gonna definitely jot that down. I'm all for natural remedies all the time. All right, so today is Wealth Wednesday, and on Wealth Wednesday, we're going to start doing some special things. The first thing I want to let everybody know is that we're doing a surprise giveaway. Surprise! We're giving away some Wisdom is Wealth apparel for the people that are on the call today. So if you can, just DM me if you're interested in getting some free apparel. DM me your size, and that will be on top of the hearts that we give you. That will be one of our appreciation tokens that we will give for showing up for Wealth Wednesday. If you want to take a look at the merchandise, it's wisdomiswealth.net. But if you just DM me your size, as far as your shirt size and a good place to send the shirt, I'll send that right over. So one thing I wanted to talk about today on Wealth Wednesday, to know where you're headed as an entrepreneur, you have to know where you've been. And I'm not talking about you specifically, right? I'm talking about the history of business. And I know that may sound boring, but we're going to try to spice it up for you today. And I'm going to spice it up for you by giving you the key aspects that affect us today, that affect entrepreneurs in business today. Some of the reasons why, we may not be making the bottom line that we're trying to achieve. So I'm going to show you that the government, why America is one of the best places. This is just one of the reasons why America is such a great place to live, right? And we were blessed with the opportunity to be born here or move here, or however you got here, we're blessed to be here. So the government actually has a law, has an act in place that was created in 1933 that allows the government, it allows, not allows, but requires the government agencies to do business with small businesses in certain fields. And so this act is called the Buy American Act of 1933. It's the example most frequently cited by U.S. trading partners of American protectionism. This major domestic law governs the procurement of goods by the federal government. So it governs the procurement of goods by the federal government. It was enacted during the Great Depression to create and preserve jobs for Americans. It was also intended to protect U.S. industry from foreign competition and to retaliate against countries that apply to buy domestic policies. So, does anyone have any questions so far? Do you guys kind of understand what I just read and where we're going? Because I know that sometimes this can sound kind of confusing. So if I need to break it down in layman's terms, I will. So just let me know.
Yeah, what's procurement mean? And can you give an example, please?
So procurement, let me give you the definition of procurement. So procurement means the action of obtaining or procuring something. An example, financial assistance for the procurement of legal advice. In the case of the government, the action or occupation of acquiring military equipment and supplies. So defense procurement. Anytime that especially now, I mean not now, but just recently when the U.S. was at war. Anytime any country goes to war, they need to be able to procure, you know, items for war, whether it be, you know, bullets, guns, vehicles, medical supplies, anything like that. Has anybody seen the movie? There is a movie, I forgot. It was just on the tip of my tongue.
Tell us about it. We might be able to guess it.
It has the War Dogs. War Dogs. It has the guy from what is that stupid movie? It's a silly movie. I forgot.
Miles Teller and Seth Rogen, right? Or Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill and another guy. Jonah Hill and Miles Teller. You're correct.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes. So in that movie, those guys took advantage of government contracting. So what they made, what the bad point, the only bad point I don't like about the movie is that they made it seem like what they were doing was illegal. It only became illegal when they boxed up when they changed the Russian ammo and they made it like Chinese ammo or something. They sold it to the Chinese. Then they were breaking trade rules when they did that. That's why it became illegal. But everything else they were doing, all they did was become a subcontractor, a military subcontractor, and then they started to sell, you know, military equipment to different countries and get a percentage off of that as a subcontractor. And then they became when they got the big contract, I think it was like $125 million or something. That's when they became a prime contractor, right? And the movie shows you, because they didn't have any subcontractors, they had to go, you know, to the country and actually set up the workshops that, you know, were going to be making the bullets and things like that, and delivering them and all that. So they had to set up the pipelines for their product to get to where it needed to be. And so basically they were cutting corners trying to save a lot of money. But all that to be said, that is government contracting in a nutshell. If you watch that movie, you get familiar with it. They have a lot of things that are real as far as when it comes to government contracting. So the Buy American Act. So we went over procurement, what procurement is. The Buy American Act does not ban procurement of foreign goods. Rather, it establishes a preference for American products and construction materials. So everybody that is an entrepreneur that creates a business in America, you create American products. These products, 95% of the consumers of our American products are outside of the United States. So we need to be connected with our government to find out who needs our product, where the demand is for our product, so that we can go and fulfill that need. Once we fulfill that need, then you'll see your business start to pick up at a rapid rate. So it establishes a preference. The Buy American Act establishes a preference for American products and construction materials. It requires the federal government to purchase only products and construction material that have been mined, produced, or manufactured in the U.S. unless an exception applies. The Buy American Act provides that for a product to be considered this is for it to be considered as a product manufactured in the U.S. Substantially all of the product must be from articles, materials, or supplies that have been mined, produced, or manufactured in the U.S. Is everybody staying with me so far?
Yes.
Perfect. So, according to federal regulations, the product must be manufactured in the United States, and the cost of its American components must exceed 50% of the cost of all the components that make up that product or material, whatever it is. If more than 50% of the cost is attributable to foreign content, meaning you got, say if you make essential oils, if you got more than 50% of that, the ingredients for those essential oils from a foreign content, the foreign product can be purchased only if an exception applies.
Okay. It can only be purchased if what then?
If an exception applies. So
the government can only back that business up.
So if more than 50% of the cost is attributable to a foreign content. So
yeah, like my lavender comes from France.
Okay, so your lavender comes from France. So if that comes from France, is that the lavender, is that mixed with other essential oils?
No, it's pure
lavender.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that comes from France and it's more than 50% of it, which you said that the whole thing comes from France?
Well, yeah, the whole oil, but I don't have connections with those distributors anymore overseas since coronavirus has occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just say you did have those connections, because we can help you get those connections back. But let's just say that you do have that connection, right? You did, for the sake of this example. The government would only be able to purchase that product. Well, the foreign product can only be purchased if the exception applies. Now, we're talking about the government. Remember, we're talking about the government purchasing your products, services, or materials from your small business. Our government, if you haven't noticed, has super deep pockets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just last year, they gave over $2 trillion. I don't know where everyone else is located, but just in California, they gave over $2 trillion in government contracts to small businesses. So that's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
That's a lot. And then a lot of that money was missed because our businesses weren't properly certified, or we didn't have the right paperwork. Super small things, and it ails my heart. I used to work for the California Black Chamber of Commerce, and I used to see this all the time. People were in business for 20, 25 years, and they would complain about, not being able to open bank accounts, not being able to get loans from banks and things like that. But then when you go and take a look at their paperwork and the structure of the corporation, how it's set up, they don't have key things like their UEI number or their DUNS number, or they don't have articles of incorporation, or they don't have, a surety, or they don't have payment bond, or, a surety bond, or they don't have insurance. So it's small things. If you start your foundation off correctly, there will be no cracks in your foundation, right? So that when you start to build in your foundation, as far as when it comes to your business won't come toppling down because there's a small crack in your foundation, or you'll be able to get the materials you need to continue to build your business because your foundation is correct. So let's talk about the exceptions to the Buy American Act, right? There are 5 primary exceptions to the Buy American Act, and I'm going to explain all of these 5 in detail. So number 1, the purchase of domestic products will be inconsistent with the public interest, right? So that's an exception. So let's look at inconsistent with the public interest. The Department of Defense uses the public interest exception to waive the Buy American Act requirement for countries that have entered into a reciprocal procurement memorandum of understanding, which is a defense memorandum of understanding with the United States. These MOUs are already they cover defense goods that are excluded from the trade agreement that cover government that cover government procurement. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay, so
and you already know I'm like a first grader here. feel free to leverage, yeah.
So let me just keep it plain and simple. If it's not consistent with public interest, it's excluded from the Buy American Act. And there's a bunch of things that have under public interest. If you guys want to, take do a 30-minute consultation to talk about public interest, we can, but most likely it's not going to apply to you if there's no defense contractors in our room.
But doesn't that mean the product has to be beneficial for the public?
Yes and no. In reference to the reciprocal procurement memorandum of understanding, right? So then you will go and take a look at that, but that has to do with, it's a memorandum of understanding for defense contractors in the military. So number two, the cost of domestic products is unreasonable. So unreasonable cost of domestic products. To determine whether a domestic price, you guys know what domestic means, right?
Yeah, home.
USA.
Yes.
Woo! Correct. Oh, I want a gold star. We both want gold stars for that one, right, Sharika?
Okay. So to determine whether a domestic price is unreasonable, a price differential is added to the price of the lowest acceptable foreign offer. So a 6% differential is used for most federal contracts, but a 12% differential is used if the lowest domestic price is from a small business. So they give you more leeway if you're a small business putting in a bid for a contract, especially if you're a small business, if you're a small minority business, if you're a small woman-owned minority business, if you're a small disadvantaged veteran, right, which means you went to the disabled veteran, which means you went to the military and you got injured, and you're a woman, and you're a minority. All of these factors go into your business when it comes to getting a better percentage as far as the cost of domestic products, or especially set-aside contracts, which we'll be talking about very shortly. So set-asides. We're getting to that shortly. Getting to that very quickly, and that it's actually a good thing because there's set-aside money specifically for disadvantaged minority-owned business, disabled veteran. I keep on saying disadvantaged. Disabled veteran businesses, minority businesses, and women-owned businesses. There's money specifically set aside every year, millions of dollars set aside every year, specifically for our businesses, and our products and services or whatever we offer. So we'll get into that. Go ahead.
So just to understand what you're saying, Mr. Scott, is that we all have opportunities if we qualify to get all of that free money that's set aside just for us, and it happens to be more in the million side.
Absolutely, and I wouldn't exactly call it free money because you do have to get your certifications, and you have to pay to file your paperwork with whatever Secretary of State, whatever state you're in. You gotta pay for your insurance, your surety bonds, and things like that. Whatever you need for your specific venture that you're in, whether it be construction, music, whatever you're into, fashion. They have contracts. All you have to do is look, because they have contracts on the federal level, they have contracts on the state level, and they have contracts on your city level. So there's contracts on all three different levels for anything that you can think about. You just have to look in the right place and talk to the right people.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be showing you who those people are, and I'm going to be showing you where those places are at. All you have to do is continue to listen and tune in every day, and you'll be getting that bit by bit. Or you can go and subscribe to our Fanbase channel, and I'll be giving you guys free tips there as well. So where was I at? I was talking about differentials, the unreasonable cost of domestic products. So if your cost the cost of your product is higher than it would cost to product or service, right? Because it's not just products, it's services as well. If the cost of your product or service is higher than it would be for the government to go out to a different country to outsource and get that contract done, that is called an unreasonable cost of domestic product. So that is the lamest terms to put it. Number 3, domestic product. Domestic products are not reasonably available in the quantity or quality required. So, insufficient quantity or unsatisfactory quality. This is an exception. The Buy American Act does not apply where products are not produced or manufactured in the United States in sufficient and reasonably available commercial quantities and of satisfactory quality. A non-availability determination has been made with respect to a list of products in the FAR. The FAR is the Federal Acquisition Regulation, I believe it is. Let me look up this to be sure. I don't want to be giving you guys any crazy acronyms. So, Federal Acquisition Regulation. Yes, the Federal Acquisition Regulation. That's what it is, and that's just a huge. It's a very large book of regulations when it comes to doing business with the federal government. You don't have to know it all. If you do know it all, you're probably like just dissolve into thin air because you know so much. But you don't have to know it all. You just have to know the laws that specifically are intertwined with the business that you're doing. So here it says the inefficient quality or unsatisfactory or inefficient quantity or unsatisfactory quality. So again, the Buy American Act does not apply where products are not produced or manufactured in the United States in sufficient and reasonably available commercial quantity and of satisfactory quality. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So a non-availability determination has been made with respect to a list of products in the FAR. According to the FAR, that determination does not mean that there are no domestic products. Rather, it means that domestic sources can only meet 50% or less of the total federal government and non-government demand. Federal agencies may also make individual and non-availability determinations. Federal agencies may also make individual non-availability determinations. So basically, if your product, say you have a great product, but you don't have the quantity, a great product or service, but you don't have the quantity or capability to provide the amount of people needed to complete that service on the government level, that would, disqualify you from the government from buying from you. Or say you have the quantity and you have the people to complete the service, but the quality is unsatisfactory. That would make it, that would disqualify you from the government purchasing from you. And it's not a mystery. The government does not make it a mystery at all on what they ask for. They have, when you apply for these bids, they have an attachment that shows everything that they are asking for by the letter. And the government crosses its T's and dots its I's, as should you when you deal with the government. So when you're dealing with the government, all you have to do is exactly what they're asked to do, even if it sounds weird or crazy. Not nothing too weird or crazy. It's always, you always want it to be legal and lawful. But even if it doesn't make sense to you, you do exactly what the government says, because they have a reason for everything that they do. The government, I know some people are probably not gonna like me saying this or the verbiage, but the government is perfect. They never mess up. All we have to do is follow exactly what they say to do as far as when it comes to business. And if you're in alignment with the government, they will reward you for that. Just like in America, they reward businesses, people opening businesses because it creates jobs. Small businesses are the cornerstone of America. That's why laws like this have been, acts like this have been put in place. So, number 4, the procurement is used for outside of the U.S. Micro purchase threshold. The Federal Acquisition Streamlining Act of 1994 excluded outside of the United States. The Buy American Act only applies to products procured for use in the country. However, the Department of Defense applies to restrictions similar to the Buy American Act to its procurement of products and construction materials for the use outside of the U.S. under its balance of payments program. So most of the time, the contracts are going to be used for, the federal contracts, if you were to win a contract from the government, it's going to be on a service or product that's going to be used inside the United States. Number 5, the procurement is below the micro purchase threshold of $3,000. See, we're not even talking about millions of dollars. This is they have a micro threshold of $3,000. In addition, the Federal Acquisition Regulation (FAR), which implements the BAA requirement, the Buy American Act requirement, excludes information technology that is a commercial item. So, like I said, information technology that's one thing that's always going to be needed, and it is excluded from the exceptions. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Yes. So
Go ahead.
to make sure I understand, and you guys, I don't know if you guys ever saw the show The Office, but when Michael Scott was in, when there was a surplus from accounting, and he was like explaining like I'm in 5th grade, and Oscar broke it down using a lemonade stand, and then he looked at him and was like, okay, now explain it like I'm in 3rd grade. That's me. I'm open, honest about that. So if I'm understanding correctly, Mr. Alaric, if the company Amazon is the government, we as business owners can leverage their system by qualifying to sell within their network. Is that what you're saying?
That was kind of confusing. Let's use a different example, but like using the government as a company, because the government itself, the United States of America, that's a company. Like Amazon, the United States of America is the name of a company. The what we're living on is North America. So you got to make those two separations. North America, the continent. You know what I'm saying? America is our country. The United States of America is the company that runs the country. Everything else comes under the United States of America. We're talking about the Department of Treasury. Really, everything directly under the United States of America is the Department of Treasury, and then everything else comes under the Department of Treasury, because guess what? We all have to pay taxes. And so really, all of our storefronts are really, collecting taxes for the United States Treasury. So we're all kind of tax collectors. But in a nutshell, the Buy American Act, just as a summary, the Buy American Act of 1933 requires the federal government to buy American-made iron, steel, and manufactured goods and services wherever possible. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's making more sense. Thank you so much, sir.
Perfect. So what I'm trying to say by giving you all this information is that it is in the law that the government has to do business with your business. A product is defined as American made under the Buy American Act if at least 50% of its constituent parts and or materials originated in the United States. Actually, on March 4th of this year, President Biden announced that the biggest change in the American Act in 70 years which includes gradually raising the domestic content threshold between now and 2029 from 55% to 75% in order for a product to be considered made in America. So now instead of 55%, 75% of it has to be made in America in order for it to be made to qualify as under the Buy American Act. So how and when does the Buy American Act apply? The Buy American Act applies to all U.S. federal government agency purchases of goods, articles, materials, or supplies valued over the United States micro purchase thresholds, which is currently set at $10,000. When purchased by federal entities for public use, the Act requires that these goods be produced in the United States. So a big one that I can think about when it comes to that, as an example of that, is construction companies, right? Construction companies, when you guys, have you guys ever seen a construction company working on a highway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So when you're in your car and you see a company working on a highway, you might see a bulldozer. Not a bulldozer. You might see a crane. You might see a guy with a jackhammer. You might see some guys placing some cones, and then you might see some guys controlling the traffic, right? Holding the signs, telling you to stop, slow. You know, are you guys familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All of those guys could possibly be from different companies, right? There's a contract for placing the cones. There's a contract for holding that stop sign, right, with a slow stop. There's a contract for pouring the cement. There's a contract for operating for the crane operator. That one big job of working on that freeway is subcontracted out, right? Because first there's a prime contractor that gets the original contract. Let's say it'll be for $3 million. Then that prime contractor goes and subcontracts out the rest of the job. So he needs somebody for the cones. He needs somebody for the to hold the stop signs. He needs somebody to pour the cement. He needs somebody to transport the cement. He needs someone to operate the crane. Are you guys catching my drift so far?
Yes, great analogy. Love it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happens. And so the Buy American requirements at the state level, right? Many U.S. states include Buy American-like local content requirements in their procurement legislation. Refer to the website of the relevant state level government for more information. This is what I mentioned earlier. Every state, right? It's like these the federal laws are codified in each state, right? And then codified just means they, for lack of a better term, they drip down to each state, right? And it goes down to each state, and each state has a governor, right? And that governor governs whether, what part of the federal law that they want to act on in their state, right? We got a good look at that with coronavirus when there was the mask mandate, I believe it was, and the mask mandate was passed down to each state, and then some states required it and some states did. You guys remember that?
Yeah, because in the South, they were free, but up north, nah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is with all of the federal laws, including the Buy American Act. So you have to just visit your state and look at their procurement legislation. Just really go to your state, type in, like if you were in California, I would say California procurement opportunities. State of California procurement opportunities. If you're in the state of, I think somebody was in Massachusetts, you would go state of Massachusetts,
Procurement opportunities.
Procurement opportunities. Excuse me, I lost my train of thought. State of Massachusetts procurement opportunities, and then you can go even a step further. State of Massachusetts procurement opportunities. Then add the addition sign, right, and add your the sector that you're in. So if I'm in music, then I would go state of Massachusetts procurement opportunities space addition sign space music, or space addition sign space IT, or space addition sign space construction, and then that using the search, using the addition sign like that in your Google search or whatever search engine that you're using, it will help you. It will bring up the search results with your keywords, more of the search results with your keywords, and that'll most likely take you to the website that you're looking at. So that's just a little tip on when you're using Google or Alexa or whatever you use. But that's how you can find procurement opportunities in your state. Set aside. So let's talk about set asides. This is one of the best things that the government could have ever did for us.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Do I put, because of the essential oils and the products that I make, do I just put beauty products?
You can put beauty products. I would put essential oils because that's specifically, what you do. But you can put beauty products because you might find an opportunity that is more, that you can fulfill more than the essential oils. So
yeah, I have many products.
Yeah, you can put beauty products. You can put essential oils. Whatever a keyword is for the sector that you're in.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Does anyone else have any questions so far? Questions, comments, or concerns?
She could use health and wellness as well, right?
Yes.
I was thinking that as well, but I don't want it to be categorized as a drug because then the FDA got to get involved, right? The Food and Drug Administration.
I am not too sure on that. I'm not too sure. That's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Alaric on that because if it's natural and holistic, I don't think the FDA would touch it, but I'm not sure either.
All right, so let's talk about set-asides for small businesses, right? So this is the best thing, like I said earlier, this is the best thing the government could have did for us because, anytime it seems like someone isn't fighting for us up there in the office in this nasty political game, the law always says different, right? So set-asides for small businesses. The U.S. federal government requires that procurements below $250,000 be set aside for U.S. small businesses if at least two of them are expected to be qualified to bid on a specific procurement, right? So the most important thing here is qualified. You have to be qualified to bid. In order to be qualified to bid, you have to have your UEI number. That is your UEI number. They used to require for you to get a DUNS number and be registered with SAM.gov. Now all you have to do is register with SAM.gov and get your UEI number. The SAM.gov registration process was a long one, but they streamlined it on April 2nd. And you can go back and listen to our recordings, or I can show you how to do that. All you have to do is go schedule a Calendly, hit my Calendly link and schedule a 30-minute consultation. I can run through that and show you how to get that number in one day. Also, I can show you how to get your DUNS number as well, so you can start, collecting your business credit. That's one thing we also talked about last week. If you want to listen in on that, you can hit up Imani for a link to the reviews. So, the U.S. federal government requires that procurements below $250,000 be set aside for U.S. small business if at least two of them are expected to be qualified to bid on a specific procurement. Canadian firms legally do not qualify to bid directly on contracts set aside for small, minority, or disadvantaged businesses. However, there are a number of ways Canadian suppliers may participate in such contracts. And you can too. This is not just for Canadian suppliers. This is a way that that you can go and participate in government contracts as well. Subcontracting. The small business prime contractor may spend up to 50% of the value of a contract set aside for a small business on any other type of business. A joint venture, right, with a small business. If you're a small business under the size standards applicable to a procurement, right? So if there's a certain size standard that is needed, right, for a contract, for a procurement contract, and your business doesn't meet that requirement, you may form a joint venture with a U.S. small business to bid on a set-aside contract. So you can essentially join powers with another business to get your business up to that size standard so that you can be able to bid on a set-aside contract. You can do a joint venture with a mentor. If you're a large business, you may enter into a protege mentor joint venture with a U.S. small business and be able to bid on a set-aside contract. A mentor must provide assistance to a protege. It could be technical or financial. The small business must be designated as the manager of the joint venture and perform at least 40% of the work performed by the joint venture. For a legally established joint venture, the small business must own at least 51% of the joint venture entity. You can find out more about the rules applicable to a small business set aside at 13 CFR subpart 125. Now, I know that sounds like Chinese, right? But all you have to do is visit it, just Google it, 13 CFR subpart 125. Mind you, all of these laws have to be written to the understanding of an 8th grader, right? So really how you hide things from our community is put them in a book, because a lot of people do not like reading. I mean, I know that we're surrounding ourselves with people, entrepreneurs, so I'm assuming that we're all in a different space when it comes to reading, because, readers are leaders. And if you're an entrepreneur, you actually stepped out on faith in a vision that you had, a strong vision, and you're pursuing, your vision and your dream. So I commend you for that. But I'm assuming that in order for you to do that, you have to take the unbeaten path. One of those unbeaten paths is cracking open a book and trying to figure things out that people, your parents didn't tell you, and their parents didn't tell them. So that's one thing that I would say to definitely take a look at. One law that I would say to take a look at is business set-asides at 3 CFR subpart 125. 13 CFR subpart 125. 13 CFR subpart 125. Say it one more time. 13 CFR subpart 125. So, set-aside contracts, as you may suspect from their name, are contracts that the federal government has set aside for businesses that have taken the effort, right, to comply with contracting requirements. So this is the government saying that you took the effort to comply with contracting requirements. For instance, businesses that operate in disadvantaged locations or businesses owned by minorities or women are often able to accept these set-aside contracts. Let me tell you guys a story. I mean, I always tell the story, but let me tell it to you. So I was working for the California Black Chamber of Commerce, and I was I was in a meeting with the head of the Department of Transportation for this district, and he was telling us about a pre-bid meeting, right? So at the pre-bid meeting, all the prime contractors, remember I was telling you about prime contractors, they come together and, they're meeting each other, everybody's introducing themselves. And at that pre-bid meeting, it's very important that subcontractors show up to that pre-bid meeting. Why? Because this, kind of like at the beginning of these calls, it's a chance for you to tell people about yourself, tell people about your business, and, just get your face out there to let people know what you do, right? Because this business is not about necessarily contracts. It's a people business, just like everything else. So if someone knows you and they're comfortable with you, and your company has all the correct paperwork in place, you took the time to comply with the contracting requirements, and then your capability statement is in order, which we can get for you. All you have to do is just go to the link and DM me, let me know, hey, I need the capability statement, or I need these certain certifications. But if all that stuff is in order and you're a personable, likable person, then you're most likely going to get some action. You're going to get a contract. And that's what it's about. It's about talking to people, mingling. And, once your paperwork is right, now all you have to do is be the best you can be when it comes to communicating what your goal is for your company. So an official, wait a minute, I'm telling you a story. So, bam, we're talking about, we're talking about the pre-bid meeting. We're talking about, the primes that showed up to the pre-bid meeting. All these, it's a construction contract. All these big construction companies showed up that, usually get the huge contracts for doing bids and things like that, right? So, bam, the subcontractor walks into the room, and he's, he has his minority business certification. He has all of his contracting requirements that he needs to be able to accept the bid. He's going around, he's going and introducing himself to all these different people, and the time comes for the bid for the minority contract. This is the minority set-aside contract, right? So 15% is supposed to go to minority businesses, plural, right? It's for contracting. So gets to his contract, it gets to the set-aside contract for minorities. Guess what happens? He's the only minority there. So in turn for him being the only minority there, what do you guys think happened?
He got it.
He was the only one to get the contract. And I believe it was a $10 million contract, so 15% of $10 million is $1.5 million. Can somebody do the math on that real fast?
That's correct.
That is correct. So, see, he got $1.5 million because he was the only one to show up, and his business took the time to comply with contracting requirements. Now, it sounds like this is a bunch of stuff, but it's really not. It's really not. It's something that if you can't do on your own, we can help you with. That's what we do here at IE Experts. We help small businesses get government certification so that they can go and bid on government contracts. Not only that, but we have the contact information for over 2,500 procurement and contracting officers in California, and that's expanding every day. So we have a bunch of connections with the military when it comes to procurement for the military, and a bunch of other agencies. So, that's definitely, if you want to reach out to us, let me know, or just hit the link in my bio and schedule a 30-minute consultation, and we can figure out what you need and how we can get you going. So before I continue, does anyone have a question so far?
I'm just excited about the set aside, to be honest with you, because, right, to be Black in America, in North America, we need everything and every benefit and every leverage we can to create the generational wealth, to get essentially our 40 acres and a mule. And I totally see this as that opportunity for us to take our businesses to levels where we can actually create those opportunities and have our 40 acres and a mule. So thank you.
Absolutely, and especially to our Black women that own businesses and that are minorities, and our veteran Black women. Thank you for your service. But if you're a veteran, minority Black woman that owns a business, or disabled veteran, minority that owns a Black business. Oh, somebody is on. Thank you. But especially if you're a black woman, you've been disabled in the military, and I mean, obviously you're a minority, but being a minority and being a woman and being a disabled military vet, all of those things have more power when it comes to you applying for a contract or putting a bid on a contract. That puts you in the front of the line. That's what I'm trying to say. Puts you at the top. So if your capability statement is correct and you're personable and you're a good people person, I would say 95% of the time you're a shoo-in for the contract. They need the work done, and it's the government. So if you complete that contract right the first time, they're going to continue to come to you because they know that they can depend on you. So guess what that's doing? If you're able to procure contracts for your company, no matter what sector of business that you're in, you're positively creating generational wealth. And I say that because some of these government contracts, they last for years. So if you're constantly, or if you have a team of people, dedicated in your business to get you government contracts, you should never have to worry. We should never be out saying, oh, support your business, support my business, don't forget to support black business, don't forget to, that's cool. I understand it. I'm not shooting it down. But with this knowledge that we're giving out for free every day at 6 a.m. here at the Expert Impact, you should never have to go out and beg anybody to support your business. People are going to start supporting your business because it's the popular thing to do. Because you're not asking them, because you're making money with the government. You don't need the public. I mean, you do need the public, but as far as when it comes to business, if you're able to get contracts, why do you need to market to the public? You're doing business with the government and doing fine. And so now when, it's just for me, when people see you do good, now they want to come over and start, shopping with you and stuff like that. So, I've seen that plenty of times, but especially in government contracting. So let me continue because I know I don't want to waste anybody's any time. So an official certification or award must be granted to a company registered with the System for Award Management, SAM, that's SAM.gov, before the company can qualify for a set-aside contract. So that's what I was referring to you guys earlier. On April 2nd, they changed that requirement. Now you only have to have a UEI number to do government contracting, but I would say still do your SAM.gov registration. It's always good to be in with the government, but the government said that it's not required. So all you have to do is go to SAM.gov, get your UEI number. If you don't know how to do that, just hit up. I can shift you that along with your DUNS number because that's important to build your business credit. There is a certain type of set-aside contract that's specifically reserved for small businesses. These are known as small business set-asides. Small businesses have access to a great deal of work. As the government provides access to private sector contracts that total $500 billion annually. $500 billion just in government contracts. Did anybody get any of that money last year? Yes or no?
Nah.
So don't you want to fight a piece of that $500 billion this year if you can get it?
Yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt. Because I want to. Yeah, that's. Hey, come on now.
What's 1% of $500 billion? Can somebody do that math for me real quick?
Educated guess, 500 million?
5 million?
5 million.
Oh.
So if you could get 1% of that 500 billion, would you be happy? Do you think that would be enough for you to make some moves in your business, expand your business, hire some people, do exactly what the government has asked you to do, which is create jobs in the private sector? You think you'd be able to do that with 5 million? Probably be able to create a little wiggle room. If you're a small business that is struggling to compete with larger companies, or is having trouble breaking into your chosen industry, using the small business set-asides can be a great way to put your company on the path towards success. Does anyone have any questions so far?
I just need some time to relocate because I pretty much have a plan and everything that I want to work on, and I know it's one at a time, and I need help with all of the 13 CFR, Cert Part 125s, and making sure the quality is satisfactory. I don't have a lot of clients, but the clients I do have live by the product so much to the point where they don't even want to share, before
Right.
and after. So,
Right.
Yeah. So, just like, okay.
Yeah, that's a perfect place to start. And with the information that me and Amani are giving you, you will definitely be able to increase your clientele. And if you want to set up a 30-minute consultation so we can kind of see where you're at and build out a plan, whether it be fixing your personal credit so you can use your personal credit to leverage your business credit, or if you already have good personal credit, you want to build your personal credit, or if you want to work on your certifications for your business so that you're able to qualify for these set-aside contracts we've been talking about. Like I said, just hit my DM, schedule a 30-minute consultation, and we can get the whole thing, we can get it going. We can get it moving as soon as you're ready.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Of course. So if a purchase is made by the federal government and it's expected to be between $2,500 and $100,000, and there are more than two businesses that can provide that service, it will be considered a small business set aside automatically. If a contract is valued at more than $500,000, there must be a subcontracting plan so that a small business will have the ability to compete for the contract. So the government is making it easy. They're making it very easy for us to compete when it comes to these larger businesses, because otherwise, without the Buy American Act, all of these big private corporations, these huge corporations that you never heard of, these private venture capitalist companies, private venture capitalist companies that have billions and billions of dollars that you never heard of, that own everything that we go to every day, they would essentially be running the world, and we wouldn't have any room in America as entrepreneurs to do what we do now. So everything we do now is based off of this act that we're talking about right now. That's why I said to know where you're going, you have to know where you've been, and this is where everything started, the 1933 Buy American Act. So let's talk about the percentages, and then we can close out because I don't want to take too much more of the time. So 23% of all spending by federal government agencies must go to small businesses. This set-aside amount must include 3% for businesses owned by disabled veterans, 5% for small businesses that are veteran-owned, 5% for each hub zone and 8A businesses, and 3% for businesses owned by women. So a hub zone is like a zone that is a disadvantaged zone in your area. They have a zone. They have zones, zone maps. If you just Google hub zone and your state, then they have maps of the areas that are hub zones. And if your office is located in that hub zone, I believe that you qualify for that. I'm not sure if there's a certification for that, but we can go through that if that is something that you're interested in getting your business certified for. Set aside contract for small businesses. So they set aside, just to go over it, it's to help provide a level playing field for small businesses. The government limits competition for certain contracts to small businesses. So they're called small business set-asides. Those contracts are called small business set-asides. I want you to memorize, I'm saying it so many times so you guys can memorize what this is. And if you don't know how to access the recordings, you can just look up small business set-asides in your state. Remember that addition sign in your state. Or you go to procurement opportunities. the addition sign in your state. You search that in the Google search bar, or excuse me, yeah, the Google search or the Alexa search, whatever search engine you're using, and it should bring up the most relevant search result for your business sector. Does anyone have any questions? All right, so I just want to go over who's eligible for small business set-asides. The government uses set-aside contracts for almost every type of private sector work imaginable. The purpose of the Small Business Administration's 8A program to put small business owners in disadvantaged areas on equal footing to larger companies when it comes to bidding on government contracts. If you would like to be considered an 8A business, you will need to meet the following qualifications. 1, own a business and be disadvantaged either economically or socially. That's us. 2, have owned and operated your business for 2 years or longer. I know some people in this room qualify on both of those. Number 3, have a net worth that does not exceed $250,000. So, go ahead. Does someone have a question?
Yes, I have a meeting, a doctor's appointment, so I'm leaving. But
no problem.
We'll reconnect with you through a DM.
Absolutely. Just hit my DM. We're actually at the last part of this, so you haven't missed anything.
Thank you so much, and Miss Imani, it's been wonderful. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Thank you for joining us. So the 8A program lasts for 9 years and provides eligible businesses with training, counseling, and the ability to procure federal contracts. Not only that, when you get into the 8A program, you have a mentor that will be leading you the whole way, and the network limit, once you get into the 8A program, is $5 million. So you'll be gaining contacts, which is the most important thing. You'll be gaining information and knowledge. That is another important thing. They're both high on the list. But the worst thing about that program is once your net worth hits $5 million, they have to kick you out. So that's the worst part about that program. I'm done with my presentation. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. For the people that have stayed through the whole call, just hit my DM with your shirt size and where I can send your shirt. This is Wealth Wednesday, so everybody will be getting a piece of Wisdom is Wealth apparel. So if you want to take a look at the apparel, you can just visit the website at wisdomiswealth.net. And Imani, I land my plane. Thank you guys for joining us. Time is the most important asset that we have in this life. And in return, we're going to continue to give you business tips on the daily. I'm gone.
Heck yes. Thank you all so much for being here. Yes, we are offering some great incentives and great just fun stuff that you guys can have fun with, especially on Wednesdays. So, you know what I'm saying? That's free consultations, that's free gear. That's how we rock it on out, y'all. And then, you know what I'm saying? We're going to make sure that you guys will be able to do the same thing as you grow and build your businesses and your brands online and things like that. So thank you so much, Mr. Alaric. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, JB John. Appreciate you. And yes, you guys have a phenomenal day.
Have a good one.